What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Success Club Mastermind Show, episode 1. And in this first episode, we're actually going to be interviewing and talking to a personal friend and a client, actually, of mine. And his name is Jaiden. And he's absolutely crushing it, right now with his brand, with Instagram. I'm super excited to kind of dive into, who he is and talking about some of the success that he's found, along with a lot of the challenges. A huge part of this show that I really want to bring to you guys is bringing people on here who are not only, deemed successful or influencers in their own market and whatever it is that they're doing, but I want you to kind of hear about their stories and their backstories and, what it took for them to actually get to the point, of financial freedom, time freedom, traveling, building businesses, and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm really excited to have Jaiden on here because he has the whole thing, the full package, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So, kind of kicking off and starting, I just want to give you guys a quick little intro here. Jaiden and I actually got connected on Instagram and getting to know him a little bit more, just so you guys kind of have a little bit of background on who he is and who you're listening to right now. Jaiden has he has actually his own mentorship program where he works with hundreds and hundreds of entrepreneurs with their businesses, their sales skills, helping them just increase their overall life when it comes to business. He has his own thing that he's doing there, which is super cool, just a public figure in the business world for hungry entrepreneurs. And he also runs a really cool podcast, a very powerful podcast. You guys can go check it out, on his page. I'll tag him below below this video so you guys can go look into that and check out some of the people that, he's interviewing and talking to. But on top of all that, he also works with some world-renowned like business sharks, some people that you guys would, recognize if you saw their faces. He's been all over the place working with some of these powerful people around the world, which is really cool. And, honestly, the biggest thing that I think is awesome about you, man, is you truly do live that digital, modern day entrepreneur lifestyle that so many people are going after and chasing. And what's cool to see is that, you, young guy, you're out there absolutely crushing it, and you've already accomplished that, to this point, and you're still grinding, still making things happen. So guys, I want to welcome Jaiden onto this call here. We got a couple questions for you, my man, and so let's kind of dive right into it. First and foremost, what I want you to do is just give the audience here a little bit of background on yourself. So you've obviously told me, about your story and some of the struggles that, you've faced, up until this point. So why don't you give us a quick little intro on yourself from your perspective, and then kind of merge that into some of those, major struggles that you faced up until this point.
Man, I don't know if you had that rehearsed or you were just spitballing that. That was amazing
Spitballing,
stuff.
Man.
That was awesome stuff. I don't know how to bounce back from that. But thanks there, Alex, for having me on the Success Club show. So outside of everything you were saying, honestly, living that digital entrepreneur life did come with a lot of struggles and obstacles to really get there. I mean, it was not an easy climb, but I'll start from the very beginning. So I didn't grow up in a very entrepreneurial kind of family or a very successful family. We're pretty much bouncing between the lower class and middle class. We will have our strides here and there, but definitely always struggling. And if you get to check out my podcast, I really open up about my life because I'm very transparent now. But to pretty much summarize it up, I battled depression for 6 years, worst 6 years of my life. That really contributed to the fact that I grew up very academically challenged. I was not the most gifted or intelligent individual. So my success story comes from the fact that being mentally challenged and dropping out of high school and being bullied and being cyberbullied through all of that, I became the person I am today because I don't regret any of it. But it's pretty much declined, right? Because something that relates to me with having all the mentors I have right now is the fact that people learn by being dramatized. Either in small or little big ways. Mine was definitely big, but it taught me a lot about character and also discipline and persistence. So that became my why, to be honest. So growing up in the kind of childhood and dropping out of high school when I was 19 and running away from home and living paycheck to paycheck my whole life, literally having $40 in my pocket a week out from rent, trying to figure out how am I going to really keep up. The biggest thing I knew was not that I was academically smart, but I was creatively smart. And that's the biggest thing for an entrepreneur, being creatively innovative and smart. And really, when your back is against the wall, are you going to push or are you going to stay against the wall? So that became my why. So long story short, I wanted to not be a troublemaker. I didn't want to be a failure. I didn't want to be a letdown to my parents. And I wanted to help my parents out by being something that they've always seen in themselves and to give back. And the biggest reward for me is not being financially free, not being mentally free, not being spiritually free, but being and acceptance to my parents, because I didn't have that kind of love growing up. I don't know if that kind of summarizes and answers that question.
Yeah. No, that was awesome. That was perfect. That was perfect. And I think that's really cool, man, that you're able to get, raw like that, because that's what people need. There's so many people that are going to watch this and they're going to hear that, that quick story, and it's going to impact them, and so I love that. And I appreciate you for sharing that, man. Another question for you. So I know a question that I got a lot was, when it comes to your business now and what you're currently doing now with your success, obviously, you went through the struggle and the pain, in order to get there. Talk a little bit about, your actual business now, because, in the past, they say you people are driven out of inspiration or desperation. And it kind of seems like you were a little bit of a mixture of both of those at different points in that, in that struggle. But obviously you've gotten through that and you've evolved into the person you are today. Talk a little bit about your actual business and what you do overall in order to make money. Just give us a little bit of background on specifics of what you do.
Yeah, so part of my why is definitely helping people and seeing them be free. So I have this what's called a New Hustlers mentorship program, where I do work with people really on all areas of life in terms of sales, also helping them leverage social media and really building that personal brand so they can monetize on different social media platforms, Instagram primarily, and definitely you guys have been a huge factor and help towards that. And I thank you. But that's what I do. So in a nutshell, outside of my mentorship program, I do a lot of sales coaching. But really, what I really define myself in the New Hustlers is not to teach people how to make more money, but how to personally develop themselves. And one of the biggest thing that I push in my mentorship program and what my mentors have taught me is you can't be financially free if you're not spiritually free. And the only way you can be spiritually free is you have to develop within yourself, because you can make as much money as you want, but a lot of money does not equate to happiness. So really, to answer your question and not going in circles, is to say that I develop people so they can be mentally, emotionally, and spiritually sound.
I love that. I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So then another big question that I got a lot was, for people that are just starting out, who are some of the biggest mentors that have changed and helped develop, who you are in all areas of life?
I think my biggest mentor right now, and if anyone's watching and you do not know his name as soon as I say it, please Google him, but Zig Ziglar. I grew up reading all his books. He taught me a lot about sales, but most importantly about myself, and really not selling to people, but servicing to people. So how did I become in this position outside of really going through depression? Really understanding selling is servicing people. And Zig Ziglar was probably one of the biggest, I wouldn't say an actual mentor because I've never met the guy because he's long gone, but a digital mentor, right? Because that's what a lot of people have, digital mentors. But
definitely. Zig is a G.
Yeah, exactly, right? And one of the personal mentors I've had and I've had experiences with here and there is another great sales trainer over in Miami, Grant Cardone. If any of you guys know him, I had personal experience with Grant Cardone, being a part of not only his mentorship ambassador program where I got coaching from him, but more so really meeting the guy in person and really just getting to know his story and really helping me so I can boost my own sales and really grow my company. So those two guys has been my biggest mentor. But honestly, that does not really encapsulate one of my favorite public figures in life, which is definitely my mom, right? It's got to be my mom.
That's awesome. Yeah. Right. One last question for you, Jaiden. Another big one, that I actually, love to know myself, I always love picking people's brains, but another one that people always ask me as well is, for an entrepreneur, someone who's just starting out, they're just getting and going, they're in their first business venture, give them a piece of advice. What's the biggest thing just off the top of your head that you can think of where it's like, hey, you're just starting out, here's what you need to do.
Really simplify this in like a minute and a half. The biggest thing a lot of people argue me on, and even with the people I work right now, is find a freaking mentor. Like, if you don't have to find the most expensive mentor, you don't have to get the best mentor. You just need someone who's already doing or done what you've done. Because here's the thing, a lot of entrepreneurs fail outside of lack of patience and persistence is really having that I'm going to do it all myself mentality. Because you can't do it yourself. Are you going to spend the next 5 or 10 years wasting a lot of money and your time to fail? Or do you want to spend the next year and invest into a mentor that can take you there way faster? So that's my biggest suggestion for anyone starting out. Freaking find a mentor. Expensive or not, but someone that knows what they're doing.
Those watching this, you guys, I appreciate you. And Jaiden, I appreciate you, my man. Thanks for jumping on here. Thanks for your time. And we'll talk soon.